in our industry. Yeah, we spoke to a few people, but we've kind of had a little look at trying to get people on, and thought you would be absolutely fantastic with the journey you've been on with, obviously, Mr. Fleetwoods, and the academy that you run now. So, kind of, what's your journey been like through coaching and your golf career to date, really? So, how did it start? How did it all? Where did you meet? Like, where did you start getting into junior golf, etc.?
Well, I talk about this all the time, so it's easy for me. I just love sport as a kid. And my dad was from Southport, a bit of a golfing mecca, but he met my mum in the RAF in Dundee, and he married her there, and I was born there. So from my background, people generally wouldn't play golf in that era, which was the 60s. But in Dundee, everybody played golf, and people be on the bus with sets of clubs and stuff. So my dad, by one of my mum's brother-in-laws, got invited for a game of golf, and he played golf in Dundee, started to play. But they had so little money, he sold his clubs to move back down to Southport, because he thought Southport would be a better place for me to be brought up. It was a little bit rough, the area of Dundee we lived in, though it did overlook a golf course called Downfield. And we came back to Southport. So Dad didn't have any clubs because he'd sold them. Mum and Dad got up on the feet again. And then when I was about 10 or 11, I loved football. I did like watching golf. There's something about the colours of it that just attracted me. And they said to me, Dad, will you buy us a couple of golf balls? So he did. It was just this fascination with ball sport. And then he got me a set of clubs, junior clubs, from one of his mates at British Leyland. And that was the start of my golfing journey. Golf started for me in the garden. My dad said to me, you can come and play with me when you can hit the ball 100 yards, which any time he came near me, I couldn't do it. And when he went away, frustratingly, occasionally I could do it. But we went for the ultimate test and the official measure off. Dad made it all official because perhaps he just wanted to play golf with his mates at the weekend. It's where the Southport is built at hospital now. Southport Hospital's built, but funnily enough, directly over the road from the estate that Tommy came from. And so my dad paced out. There was no hospital there then. It was just footy fields. Paced out 100 yards, and I hit this ball, and it went over his head, and his expression looked a bit blank, but that was it. I'd passed his test. So that's how my golf journey started at Southport Municipal. Like lots of tour players, funnily enough, Tommy would have started there in the very early days, and Lee Slattery. That was my golfing journey. By the time I was 12 years old, which would have only been a year later, I'd got pretty good. Just got a slightly obsessive personality. I got into Southport and Ainsdale. I was often running. I got down to about a 1 handicap when I was 16. I wrote letters before I'd left school. And I got, I actually wrote to 3 clubs, Hesketh, Hillside and Royal Birkdale. Hillside didn't write back. Hesketh said, keep trying at school. Birkdale didn't write back. So I thought, well, I'll give him a ring. So I said, I sent an application in to see if he needed an assistant golf pro. So the phone went silent for a minute or two. I just wait there. And then the voice came back on the phone and said, come down in 2 weeks on a Saturday. So I just timed it right. When I actually started training there, I realised these letters came all the time, but I just timed it right. So that's how my golfing journey started. I was a trainee at Royal Birkdale. It wouldn't happen now, but the middle assistant had just lost his tour card. So I went from being a 1 handicap golfer, thinking I was the king, to getting beaten senseless every night for a couple of years by a guy who was on and off the tour called Andy Butler. It was the best possible training. It was like a dream.
I can imagine.
So, yeah.
Why do you reckon? So, obviously, up where you are, that way, it's a bit of a hotbed for producing talent, isn't it? You've had a lot of professionals come from your area. Why do you think it is? Is it the environment that people are practicing in? Is it? What do you reckon it is up there? What's in the water up there?
Well, to be honest, I would say for a hotbed, a golfing mecca, they call it a golf coast. Why has it produced so few tour players? before Lee Slattery and then Tommy Ford coming quickly on his heels, I think you'd have to go back to Teddy Halsall, one of the club pros at Royal Birkdale, the pro before the one I started training under, who would have been going great in the 40s and possibly leaking into the 50s. Why is it not produced more? That would be the question I would ask. But I'm a great reader, and I think the seeds were sown, but I don't think there was that much opportunity for kids. And I was probably born just on the edge of the right time. And getting involved with Tommy, what we want to create is an academy where all the best can come and play against each other and see what the best in junior golf look like, and actually be training and competing against them. So my dream is to create that environment, and I'm happy to say I've done it. You know, we've produced a lot of golfers on the fringe. We've been going with the Tommy Fleetwood Academy for about 5 years, but my work in junior golf stretches back way before that. I built my own par 3 course and golf range, so I've got things underway there, and a couple of people who've got into professional golf came through my junior program then. So what you've asked about is, what is it in the water? How come it's a hotbed? I don't think it has been, but it definitely is now. I've got 180 pupils. I've had a couple of world champions. We're off and running, but I know you're in the same field as me. This is like the magic. What does it take? And I've devoted my whole career to finding it and trying to create it. And yeah, I've got it going now.
That's brilliant. You're following you on the socials and stuff, yourself and Tommy Flynn. Yes, amazing. Kids seem like they're all engaged. You're brilliant with the children as well. You can tell you have good relationships with all the kids. I think that's important to say for coaches. You've got to build solid foundation relationships with these children. They want to come there. They come and see Norman at the end of the day, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Well, I think like I tried to be. I was a shy kid. I was an only child, and I had a Scottish accent, so I felt a bit of an outsider. I would say I wasn't particularly an outsider. It was just the way I felt, just being shy by nature. And the Scottish accent, kids took the mick in that. But I was an only child, and I did feel a little bit lonely. A lot of games I played on my own. I started to play golf on my own in the garden. And then when I started playing at Southport Municipal, I played mostly on my own. And when I got in a private club at Southport and Ainsdale, I played mostly on my own. I didn't really understand that that was unusual. And none of my friends or family were members. And then I saw another kid playing on his own. So we started talking. Unfortunately, his dad had passed away. He was just brought up by his mum. And we began to play golf together. And funnily enough, we both made it as golf pros. So I think golf, in a way, does suit that individual mindset. You're playing on your own. It's not a team game. I was like quite self-contained. I didn't mean to be or set out to be. Yeah, but that helped me actually. And sometimes parents will say to me, "Oh, he's an only child. We want him to make friends." But I often say to the kids, "You being an only child, that's your superpower, because I was. It makes you mentally strong, and it builds in some resilience and self-reliance, which I think is important in golf."
Absolutely. I'd echo that. I'm an only child as well, so I absolutely agree with what you're saying there. You do spend a lot of time on your own, you know, playing football in the garden on your own, doing things on your own. You learn to entertain yourself, and then kind of enjoy your own company a little bit. I certainly do now a little bit, away from the kids.
You do. My mum used to say to me, like, my mum was a nurse, and she'd say, "Who did you play with today at the golf?" I used to say, Jack Nicklaus, you know. So I played with 2 balls. So my mum used to go to work and say, "Oh, my son's got into golf." And so, "Who does he play with?" And my mum says, in all innocence, "He plays with a wee boy called Jack." I feel awfully sorry for Jack because Norman keeps beating him. I had to explain to him I was playing with 2 balls, so it was always close. I'm not quite sure how I ran the scoring, but I always seemed to win on the last. So when I went to Royal Birkdale and Jack Nicklaus, it was 1985, was, coming to the end of his career then, and he won the Masters at the
Yeah.
age of 46. I know it wouldn't be that big a surprise if it happened now, but then it was, that was my golfing hero. And yeah, it coincided with me starting at Birkdale, so it was great.
Moving on to like your work with Tommy, and how did that come about? How did you first, did he just turn up at the range one day and you sort of did he come to any group classes? How's your journey work with him?
It worked like this. I built my own golf range and par three course because I'd worked in Europe and played in Europe. And you may already be aware of this. In Europe, when you joined a club, you had to pay your subscription and you had to pass a test before they'd actually allow you to play. It's called, in German-speaking countries, the Platzreife or green card, they called it in Sweden. And it was a test of competence. But the catch was you couldn't take the test to join the club. So quite wealthy people were paying a hefty subscription, but not allowed to play because they couldn't get through the test. So that's why all the golf coaches found a lot of work there in the 80s and early 90s. And I come back to Southport, I thought we could do with that. So I built a version of that. And one night, I get asked about it a lot, but it was like, you've probably had it in the golf range experience. It's 20 to 8. There's no one about. I think we're going to lock up early. These headlights coming down the road. I think, oh, now we've got a golf nut who's going to ask for 200 balls. And it was Tommy and his dad. So they went out to hit. And I was just walking up the range, thought I'll just get the baskets in. And I saw this little kid hitting the ball. I thought, wow, he's pretty special. And I got speaking to his dad. I became friends with his dad. He was my partner in the Alliance, and I began to coach Tommy. But I was able to employ a lot of the ideas that I'd picked up in Sweden, and that's how our relationship started.
So you say you saw him on the range. Was he? When I'm not a big believer in sort of you got natural golf ability, you might be able to move in a certain way. It's quite natural. Was he? Could he just put club on ball pretty quickly? Was he quite?
Yeah, but I say this a lot. If Tommy was 6 now at our golf academy, he'd look like 4, 5 dozen of the kids.
Yeah.
It was just in that era, it was unusual to see a little kid that played golf, and it was the strike. Now, people think, oh, I bet he was absolutely brilliant. He wasn't. He wasn't. And I tell the kids this all the time. They all know the answer now. Where did Tommy finish in his first junior tournament? It was at Clitheroe. He finished last. What score did he shoot? He shot 129. So it's what you say. It's you learn golf. You might have ability to strike a ball, but like being a boxer with a knockout punch, if you don't hit anybody, it's absolutely useless. So the ball striking is a key thing we work on all the time. But it was sporadic like it is for most children. But it was that first struck me. And I'd built a par three course and got to know Tommy and that. And they came from the same background as me and we hit it off. So, I didn't charge them to use the facilities and we became friends.
That must be such a great, for children you teach now, they're in the same position as Tommy would have been at that age. What a great inspiration. I can't think of anything better for them to sort of take confidence from. And like, I can go on this, no, all right, they might not go on the same journey, but I'm starting on the same journey as someone that's played one multiple times on tour, won Ryder Cups. What a great inspiration that is. Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable for me. Like I remember the first night I saw him, and then I watched him tee off at France in the Ryder Cup, against Tiger Woods. I was only watching on TV, by the way, and I watched him, and they announced the 4 of them on the tee, and I was actually stood up watching, and I felt like the ground was moving, and I just thought, to think he comes from where I come, and I tell the kids this: a little house just by Tesco's, which everybody would know where it is in Southport. And mum and dad, they're just ordinary people. They didn't have much, just like my mum and dad. And he's made it pretty much to the summit of world golf, hit the shot that won the Ryder Cup. So that is a life lesson that I'm always telling the kids. It might not be golf, but the life lesson is there. If you find what you love, you can go all the way. If you love it enough and you're passionate about it enough, these children can be whatever they want to be. So my mission in life through that, I missed out saying this before, is just to be the coach that I most needed. I lacked confidence, I lacked self-belief. I was a good footballer. The bigger the match, the more I passed the ball because I didn't want to make any mistakes. So taking away the fear of failure, I'm actually coaching the child in me.
Yeah, that's a great message actually. Never really
Yeah.
thought of it like that. That's brilliant. You're trying to
we say to the kids
things.
all the time, what are the consequences of a bad shot in golf? I tell them early. I'll tell you, the consequences are zero. There aren't any because it's only a game. I'm mega competitive. My wife is. She beats me at Connect 4 because I'm competitive. I'm momentarily upset. We set them up and we start again. And in real life, it don't matter. It's insignificant. If you miss a 2-foot putt for the Open, actually, in what really counts, it's insignificant because your mum and dad are still going to love you and your dog is still going to be pleased when you open the door. So that's something we're always trying to say to the children. We're trying to build a culture where they play without fear. A lot easier said than done. If I had a 2-foot putt for the Open, yeah, I'd be extremely focused and nervous. But we're trying to give that message that you don't actually get there by being worried about the consequences of failing. I sort of recognise that myself in sport, though. Funnily enough, we were talking about tennis. We watched King Richard last night, me and my wife, about the Williams sisters, because one of the kids' dad said to me, "You'll love it," and I was watching that. I forgot what I'm going to say now, but yeah. So I watched that. I found that quite interesting to watch him, but you don't get anywhere like being scared to fail. So we're trying to create an environment where kids are able to be trained and just through a routine and following a process, when their opportunity comes, they're equipped to take it. We had a great example of it the other day. When will this YouTube video go out?
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks. Okay, well, I'll take a little bit of a gamble. I got a phone call from the RNA a few weeks ago, and they said, we're making a video about getting girls into golf at St Andrews, and if you got a suitable girl who could come up, they're going to meet a famous female golfer. I'll just hold her name back because they've asked us to until the video comes out. And they're going to play a few holes with them at St Andrews. They're going to meet the golfer by surprise, but they're going to know, obviously, they're coming up to play on the old course. So they said, "Have you got any suitable girls?" I said, "I've got loads." But I picked out 4 because there was an age window that they wanted. Anyway, they invited 2 up. And I saw the video of this girl who was 9 walk up to the tee. She was ahead of the tee, but it was on the first at St Andrews with a famous female golfer who everybody will have heard. And she just absolutely smashed the tee shot straight down the first at St Andrews. In fact, she had a lower score on the hole than the tour player. And I just thought to myself, that encapsulates everything. This little girl, she hadn't been waiting for opportunity. She's been training for it. And when her moment come, she took it with both hands. Like for you, you'll have had it in junior golf. There have been things that have happened when it's just you and a couple of kids. And you think to yourself, that was a highlight of my career. What kids say to you sometimes. And you see that dawning of self-belief within a child. And you just think, you know what? One of my pupils, it could be Tommy, might go on to win a major. But will anything replace that moment? And the truth is, it won't, because I see that in myself. When I first started to think I can actually win a golf tournament, and you look around and you realize everybody there wants what you want, the trophy, and they read your name out. It's an incredibly empowering moment for a child. So in the golf, almost every lesson, I'm sure like yours, not every single one, but most lessons, we're playing for a challenge, a little prize or something. And it all starts there. That bravery, I suppose, in a child to go up, let's say if it's a putt and it's nearest to the pound, they've got that moment where all the other kids are watching, the mum and dads are watching, they're quiet for a moment. I'm sure they're a little bit, they're shaking inside, but they do it, and they repeatedly do it, and they do all kinds of challenges. And I always say to them, that was courage. It's not courage if you're not a bit nervous. It's courage if you're nervous, but you do it anyway. And they begin that process of competing in a gentle way in front of people. And then when we have our Tommy Fleetwood Academy tournaments, we have a PA system, we announce them on the tee, we've got a PGA scoreboard, we make it as big time feel as possible.
Yeah.
Because we want them to repeatedly face what might start off as a fear until it becomes normal and routine. So watching the girl called Gracie tee off, and she just smashed it. It was just a beautiful moment. I guess that's what I'm working for in my field. That dawning in a child's mind where they suddenly think, I can do it. Yes, I can. And that's why I do it.
It vindicates, seeing someone like that, doesn't it? Vindicates, because you have days, don't you, where you do loads of session with kids and it's great fun, but that vindication you've got from that gives you even more self-belief in what you're trying to deliver as well, doesn't it?
Do you know, it does. It absolutely does. A lot of the children I coach are very young. When kids get to about 12, 13 and 14, they get pulled into private clubs, club activity. A lot of mine go into county activities, and I see them slightly less. But I'm working a lot with very young children. So we did the golf sixes, and they said, put in a team. I said, well, I've got like kids that compete in the world championships, but I don't want to put in like our version of the Ryder Cup team. I don't want to take anybody else's confidence away. So we competed in a league with 6 teams, and we played it exactly by the rules. You'll see bits of it back on Instagram. Some of our kids were tiny, and we went to play, but we had that many golfers. We put 2 teams in, so we played in a league with 6 other teams, and both of our teams tied for first.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just thought that, and a lot of the kids were a lot bigger. And I immediately thought to myself, all the teams have put really good golfers in, and we've downplayed it. That's what I thought watching them tee off. Thought, oh, well, we're gaining experience. But both of our teams tied on the same score for first. I would say, although I've been doing it a long time, that was the ultimate vindication. It was vindication for me, or probably vindication might be too strong a word, but mums and dads could see all the games and drills we do and stuff that you're doing, it actually has a purpose. And when they met kids from other clubs that have less structured environments, it paid off. And I would say, I've been doing this for a long time, but seeing our youngest kids go, some of them not all that experienced, and some with zero competitive experience, seeing them deliver the goods in that Super Sixes format, which is a scramble format. Do you know, it was a long day. It was like 12 hours work, and I drove home at night and thought, yeah, I was able to say to the parents, all our ideas, what worked with Tommy that we've rolled out, it worked. And the proof's there with our 2 teams tied at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, that
But
is.
meeting people like you and looking at your Instagram page and everything, I'm always learning and seeking, and I like the idea of sharing ideas with coaches like you. and I'm quite willing and open to share myself. It's just you reaching out to me. I know you've got the same mindset, but it's quite unusual to find coaches in this game who will share. I can't coach all the kids in the world. I've got loads of experience. I've got a catalogue with 300 games and drills in. And I'm quite willing to share. I set up a Facebook page once. It's still there, golf games and drills for kids. And basically, I just said to any other pros, you can post on it. We can share games. It become like a catalogue for games that any coaches can dip into. And I noticed a lot of coaches dipped in, but none of them put in. So I had an idea to write a book of my games and drills. So I stopped posting on it. But meeting people like you, it's nice because there's full of children. The country's full of children needing the opportunity. Golf's a great game for life skills, and we can share and we can move it forward together.
Yeah, I think you're bang on there. I think a lot of coaches get very precious. They don't want to share. They want to keep their own little closed shop. But if you're gonna grow the game to where it needs to be or where it could be, it's speaking to people like yourself that have got the experience, got the know-how of how to produce. And certainly we've changed the way we've done things in the last couple of months, trying to reach out to more people, doing more stuff on social media. One, it's been quite enjoyable doing something different. And two, it is actually when you actually reach out to people. I think I was a little bit apprehensive at first to talk to people. Like I did stuff like obviously yourself. I got Neil Plimmer on a couple of days ago. It was really good. I thought, why not? It's like you say about having that courage. It took a little bit of courage to do something like that. And people might sound a little bit cheesy, but it's been vindicated. People are very, will Norman get back to me? Will Neil get back to me? If they don't, they don't. At the end of the day, what can you do about that? You've cast the net and see if you can get a few people on board.
Yeah, well, I know Neil. I don't know him personally, but I know of him, and he's great. And I think you'll find like people who work in this sector have succeeded. They've succeeded for a reason, and it's because they're a sort of a giving person. There's something about them that can connect with kids. And the issue with connecting with kids is you've got twice as many parents to connect with. You've got some people skills, and people who have people skills know that sharing it is important. Not like when you're a kid at school and you're doing your work and you put your arm around it so the next kid can't copy yours. That can be sometimes how golf coaches operate, but I was made up. I was quite excited to come on this.
No, thank you, and hopefully it will the channel will grow and get bigger and better. So going into your program with kids, then so let's say I'm 5 years old, never played before. What do you guys not offer so much, but what's my pathway really to say golf sixes or something? How do I get involved?
Well, the golf sixes is a new thing for us, and sort of the competitive golf is not very far down the line, but that is down the line a little bit. But basically, you just come along. We've got a waiting list now. I think we've got about 180 kids, and we've got a waiting list with 50 or 60 children.
Wow. That's amazing.
But it does. I might look to take on another coach, but the problem is we're almost at capacity. So it's a space issue.
Yeah,
I've got the driving range. Yeah, I've got the driving range. I've got 8 bays. We have a maximum of 8 kids in the class. There's me coaching, and we have a helper. I've got another coach called Sophie, who's absolutely brilliant. She does all girls classes, mixed classes. I do all boys and mixed. But we've got a short game area, putting green. We've got a par 3 course. We've got a studio. We've got the range. But if the weather's bad and we both wanted to get on the range, we try to avoid that overlap. So then when you get down to kids, you've got limited hours. You've got the weekends and you've got evenings, and we're almost at capacity. So if someone gets in touch with us, we try to put the kids in a class of kids of a similar age and roughly the same ability, but we're approximate about that. Anything too rigid would begin to exclude children. And we've got a situation now where most of our classes have experienced golfers in, and parents with new golfers are saying, "Oh, we're looking for like a beginners class." So I say to them, the chances of you getting 8 beginners at the same age or wanting to start at the same time, it's not going to happen. So for safety reasons, we quite often like to bring a beginner into a more experienced class, and you can come along and just help us keep them safe, and we'll just get them going and we'll take it from there. So with other kids' activities, sporting activities, football team times changing and stuff, there is a little bit of a movement. So yeah, we get kids going. Yeah, and that's it.
It's giving them the opportunity, isn't it? As you quite rightly said there. I mean, it's hard. I mean, we're I wouldn't say we've got a waiting list. We've got quite a few more bays here, but you're
Yeah,
right. You're trying to manage your academy. You've got, members of the public that want to use the range. You have to be very careful with when you go on the golf course. We try. I mean, we spoke to someone a few weeks ago, and he said he gets out on the golf course when the weather's at its worst because he knows it's going to be quiet, and he
yeah,
knows he's going to be able to get out there. And I actually thought of it. Thought that's actually quite a good idea because you try and go out there in the middle of the day when it's baking hot in the summer. It's going to be very, very busy. So I think it's
yeah.
just managing it, isn't it? It's managing and giving people the right time. I mean, you said you've got a really good member of staff there. Was it Sophie? Sorry, I don't want to get her name wrong.
Sophie, that's correct. Yeah.
Have you found in your experiences that, I mean, we've tried to scale out sometimes, and we found getting staff in that have got the same passion and enthusiasm as yourself and ourselves quite difficult. Have you found staffing in the past quite a challenge? Or have you just kind of taken it on your own and been very careful in bringing people on board?
I've been very careful in bringing people on board, but I think it's because I'm fiercely independent, probably that only child thing, and I like things doing my way. So for the likes of Sophie, she came and worked with me on the classes for several months, and a lot of the lessons are built around a bit of golf technique, which we apply to a game or drill and challenge. We might introduce a bit of etiquette or some kind of golfing rule, and we'll end with a prize winning challenge. Um, so she sort of picked up the pattern of the lesson. I've got a program, and she began to deliver the lessons on her own. So she was what I would say is mature. I think she was 28 or 29 when she got going, and quite a sort of gentle personality. I suppose a bit like me, really. And yeah, so she got it up and running, but it is difficult. I mean that what you're doing, that's your baby, and
Yeah.
you coach with another coach, don't you? There's two of you.
Yeah, myself and Matt. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's like a small, tight team.
Mhm.
What I would say to you is, and this is the way I've always operated, anybody who works for me has come out of my coaching program.
Yeah,
And this is
exactly
what I say
right.
to the children. When you're nice to another kid, or when I might ask you to get the baskets and help me, or I might ask you to practice and concentrate, you think nobody's watching, but they are watching. They are watching. And I was like that. I left coaching Tommy when he was about 11 or 12. I went abroad. I was still playing and coaching and never saw him. And he became a famous golfer. And I'm operating in my own golf range and golf business. There's car boots occasionally at the side. Sometimes there's a traveller's fairground. I'm getting the range balls nicked. I've come from Royal Birkdale. I just think, how have I ended up? How have I ended up here? And you think no one's watching, and I begin to churn out more and more great junior golfers that become county players. In fact, Mike Cansky, Phil Kenyon's right hand man, was one of them. He began to work for me as an assistant just because I liked him and he was a friendly kid. You think no one's watching, but they are watching. Tom and his wife were watching what I was doing. So I get that call. And then I'm working at Form BO and I've moved my junior program there, and I get that call from Tommy's wife when the British Masters was Tommy was hosting it at Hillside. So Norman, Tommy, I'd like you to set up a program and using the games and drills you did with him, and he'll work with you and we'll get it going. So yeah, it's that toiling away, doing your best, most conscientious job, and finding employees or people you're going to work with. People pay attention. If you just keep doing a conscientious job, sooner or later somebody's going to notice.
Yeah, I think I watched. I'll have to wrap us up in it because the time's running out. But yeah, I watched something the other day. It was an American guy had a big summit, and he was saying, you know, if no one's watching you, keep making plays. If someone's selling more than you in your job, just keep making plays. And it was really stuck with me. Keep going, keep plodding along.
Yeah, yeah, keep doing the right thing. I looked at your Instagram page, and I think you are doing the right thing.
We're trying. We'll get there. It's just being more consistent, trying to be a bit more consistent with that, and taking it on board. It takes over your life. A lot of content takes a lot of time.
It does, yeah. But you can always ask me. You know, I can always give you my input, and I can learn from you.
No, that would be great.
And
I'd love to start a community. Love to start like a junior golf community. It would be exceptional, and there'd be loads of people that would want to get on board with that.
Well, that's what you get for reaching out, you know, and that's what I get for agreeing to come on. A connection of like-minded people. Now, you might get somebody who just rolls up, a golf coach who does juniors, who rolls up on a Saturday morning and makes it up off the cuff what they're going to do that day. They might want to ram radar ideas, but it doesn't work like that. You've got to give something to get something back.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, that's the name of the game.
We'll try that. We'll have a conversation about that, definitely.
Yeah, you might have some questions to tear through because I've talked a lot, but yeah, before it wraps up. So yeah,
no, you honestly, that is great. I think we'll end it there. That's brilliant. That's been really, really insightful. Thank you very much for your time. Keep plugging away, as I know you will. I look forward to seeing some of the golfing superstars that you produce on your Instagram and things. And yeah, we'll talk again. Definitely, let's talk again and see if we can get something built up like a community. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, no problem. Check out the TFA Southport Facebook page. I post on there a lot more now.
Okay.
Tommy's social media people look after the Instagram. I do post on it, but it's not as much as I used to.
I'll have a look at that. I'll have a look at that, definitely.
The Facebook one is more active.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much, Norman. Have a great day, and then we'll speak soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Anytime. If you want to do a part 2, let me know because you might have a lot of questions.
I will do, definitely. Right. Thank you very much. See you later. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.